Welcome back to Math Teacher Institute Storytime. Today I'm going to share the story with you about how a lesson on growth mindset turned out to be a lesson not only for my students, but for me as well. Come on in. Hi, I'm Maher Dalal and this is Math Teacher Institute. I've been a math teacher all over the world and I have a master's degree from the Math for Teaching program at Harvard. If you love math and love teaching math to others, this is the place for you. Before I tell you about my personal story, let me tell you a little bit about having a growth mindset. Growth mindset is a term coined by the Stanford professor and psychologist Carol Dweck. She's written books about this, and it has a lot of research to back up this idea that essentially believing you can learn something or approaching something new with an open mind and a belief that even if you struggle initially, that struggle is part of the process of learning and that you can and will learn something. It already makes you better at that thing. It already helps you to learn. And so this, of course, applies to math as well as other areas. But for the math classroom, of course, it's critical. And I have always believed this and always tried to express it to my students, but I've never really talked about the meta sense, the actual name for this theory, the research behind it. And I learned in this lesson that actually sharing some of that information can be really critical and helpful for your students. A couple years ago, I had a great opportunity to teach a class at the local community college, something I had never done. And the course I decided to teach was a super remedial, super basic course meant for students who had really struggled with math in the past and were not even ready for like an elementary algebra sort of class. So when I was preparing for this class, I was really focused mostly on the exponential functions and amortization and interest rates and things like this that I was going to have to teach, and thinking about how I was going to help access this information for students whose ability was very weak. But the first chapter was a whole chapter just on growth mindset. And so, like I said, I've always been a believer in growth mindset. It's something I've always tried to communicate to my students, but I've never really used the term growth mindset or talked about Dr. Dweck or the research behind it. I've just kind of always told students, as probably most of us do, that anyone can learn math and no one is born knowing math, so everyone has to learn it. And before you get a question right, you have to get some wrong to learn what you did wrong so you can do it right. But this first unit laid out all the research and the criteria and all the terminology for the students and really showed them and me how much specific data there is to back up this idea. And I was amazed when I presented it to my students. I didn't really think of it as being a particularly outstanding lesson on my part. I went into it thinking, oh, this will be a pretty easy first day lesson and, the students will feel good and we'll all go home feeling encouraged. But I had numerous students come up to me after class and before the next class to tell me how much this lesson really helped them feel more confident and assuage some of their fears and really just totally open their mind on that first day of class that this is going to be something that they could really do. And these are adults. Some of them are in their teens or 20s. Some of them were in their 40s. I even had a student in his 70s. And pretty much universally, they said that, wow, really starting that first day with a lesson that said that no matter what your struggles in the past, no matter how much you believe you're not a math person, or you believe that math is hard for you, that if you embrace the struggle, embrace the challenge, you too can be good at math and can be successful at math. And it's all about how you approach it and how you view your success. In the time since I first had this experience, I have incorporated a lesson into my first day activities on growth mindset for all of my classes, and I've made sure to include the terminology, some of the research and data to really back up to the students to show them that this is not just some theory. This is something that has really been heavily researched and that there's a lot of data to back up the reality of this. And then I try to make sure to drive this home, not just at the beginning of the year, but continuously throughout the year, that when you're struggling or you get questions wrong, that is a part of the learning process. In fact, that getting a question wrong is not a failure. It's a success on our trip toward the bigger success of eventually getting the questions right, but that making mistakes and getting things wrong is a part of the learning process if we can view it that way. And so it's been really successful and made a real big difference in a lot of my students' achievement. Remember, this is not a math or math education specific theory. This is research based on how we learn in general. So if you've learned something from this video, please give it a like and please share it with a colleague who could maybe benefit from a more growth-focused mindset in their classroom. If you have an interesting or amazing story about teaching anywhere in the world that you'd like to share with our channel, please check the description for information on how to reach out to us. Thanks for watching and see you next time.